Oh, okay. So I had posted a reel that included our recommendation to not to not actually consume fish oil or take it as a supplement. Um, it got some attention. I got a lot of DMs about it because of the conversation around omega 3s and us being taught in like normal mainstream nutrition how important omega 3s are, how they're the anti-inflammatory fat, how they're necessary, and diets like the Mediterranean diet and even any really anti-inflammatory diets. They really put omega 3s up on this pedestal, which has led to a real big uptake in things like fish oil, things like flaxseed oil, flax, chia seeds, nuts and seeds in general, but big uptake and all of those kinds of things for specifically for omega 3s, and because people think they're anti-inflammatory, and with inflammation issues being such a problem leading to autoimmune illness, rashes, skin things, acne, eczema, digestive issues, all this stuff that everyone's dealing with. We're like, oh, let's just load them up with omega 3s and bring down inflammation. Okay, so it's like a very simplified way of looking at things, and also being that the supplement companies will promote certain things, food industry will promote certain things in order to sell things, which makes sense. But I think we need to have a bigger conversation about fat and what is inflammatory, what's anti-inflammatory, what our bodies actually need, what's essential, what's not essential, and where you can actually get these things, like from what foods that make sense when we're talking about the human body and women as a whole. So that's kind of the conversation I wanted to have today, because I think people are still confused a little bit on the whole omega 3 PUFA fat convo. So first things first, fat in general is very important. So just like a couple of very high level basics about fat. We need them for hormones. We need them for hormone communication. We need them to be able to absorb fat soluble vitamins. So things like vitamin A, K, D, E, all of those super important. We need fat. We also need essential fatty acids. And this is where, I think my mom wants to come in too. So we might as well let her in, huh? Okay, so there are things called essential fatty acids and essential fats that our body need that we don't create ourselves. So we do need to eat it. We do need to get it through the food. This is where the omega 3, omega 6 combo comes up, and I'm going to circle back to that. But the essential fatty acids are what essentially form cell membranes, and without them, it really does affect cellular function on like a very basic level. So we definitely need them. However, you've probably heard of omega 6 and omega 3s, and these are they're a type of fat molecule called unsaturated fats. We call them PUFAs. Okay, so you do need both, but in very small amounts. Today, in the nutrition world, because omega 3s have been built up so much and put on this pedestal as being anti-inflammatory, we are now over consuming omega 3s, just like we were over consuming omega 6, causing the problem in the first place. So you actually need, when it comes to the essential fatty acids, omega 3s, omega 6, there's a ratio between the two that's necessary for optimal health. And what was happening is, because of industrial seed oils and our American food system and all of these things, we were over consuming as a country omega 6s. And PS, you do need the omega 6, again, small amount. You do need them. They are important for optimal health, specifically when it comes to things like skin. So a lot of omega 6 deficiencies you'll see on the skin. Regardless, we do need them. We were over consuming because of seed oils, things like that. So there is a big push that oh, Americans, we need to eat more omega-3s, we need to get more omega-3s. These are so important because we're way over consuming omega-6s. And so we started introducing these things into our diet at a very high level, like fish oil, nuts, seeds, flax, all of these things, in order to compensate. And what we've done now is created an atmosphere of over consuming polyunsaturated fats in general. We eat way too much of them. And that's both in omega-3s now and omega-6s. We've now upped the ante on both, and our diets, where it should be somewhere like 3 to 6% polyunsaturated fats, we're now eating an average of like 20-25% of our diet is coming from these polyunsaturated fats. The problem with that is PUFAs, and I'm just going to start saying PUFAs, it's easier for me to say. The problem with polyunsaturated fats is they are an unstable fat in the body. So as humans, we have a body temperature that's 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit on average, right? Actually, it's more like 97.5, but that's fine. But we have a very warm, moist body, very warm. And so when we put an unstable fat, I'm going to see if I can get her in really quick. We'll see if that one works. When we put unstable fats, like polyunsaturated fats, into a very warm temperature, hello, it worked.
Yeah, finally.
Okay. They oxidize, and when oxidation happens, it's very stressful and very inflammatory in the body. We create free radicals, we create things that the body doesn't like, that cause a lot of oxidative stress, which then drives up inflammation. So again, small amounts are necessary because we don't create those things. So there needs to be small amounts of omega-3s and omega-6s in the right ratio, in the correct ratio, but it's a very small amount. So now we're over consuming both and creating a lot of inflammation in the body because we're taking in these very unstable fats at a level we were never supposed to consume as humans. So fish oil is honestly, fish oil is one of the worst because of the way that fish oil is made. It's an industrial product. It's boiled for hours. So even before it's packaged and then sent to you, it's already been oxidized. It's already been
overprocessed,
broken apart. Yeah, it's already rancid and horrible. You're good. No, it's all good. You can come on too. It's already been destroyed. It is super detrimental to your health. That delicate omega-3 fatty acids already been whatever. It's gone. It's detrimental. You're taking it in such high doses. We just don't need it. So circling back. So we need this small amount of omega-3s and omega-6s. We were out of balance because our food system relies heavily on seed oils, which is a lot of omega-6s. We rely heavily on seed oils. And so we weren't getting enough omega-3s to keep the ratio. Now we're over consuming omega-3s. It's like a whole thing, right? So how do we get back into balance with our fat content and actually create a body that isn't having all this inflammation? So you're going to be inflamed if you're over consuming omega-3s. You're going to be inflamed if you're over consuming omega-6s. Like that, they both cause inflammation in that amount. And so it's like, okay, so how do we consume fat in a way that's actually healthy and helpful for ourselves, for our bodies, in a very non-stressful way, all of these things. And basically, animal protein, it's a very cool thing about animal protein, and land animals and sea animals contain not only the correct amount of omega-6 to omega-3 balance that you need, those essential fatty acids that you need, right? They also have majority of the fat that's coming from land animals mostly is a very stable fat. It's on the scale, right? We have polyunsaturated, which is unstable. We have monosaturated in the middle, which is semi-stable. And then we have saturated fat, which is very stable in the body. So when we're consuming animal products and we're consuming animal protein, you're actually getting the correct amount. And what's happening in this country and in general is we're demonizing meat, we're demonizing animal protein, we're promoting plant-based diets, we're promoting a lot of omega-3, omega-6s from plants, and we're throwing off our ratio and causing a lot more inflammation because we're eating so much more plant, nuts, seeds, all of the oils too, because they're putting that in every plant-based packaged food. And then we're not getting any of the stable fats, and we're driving up inflammation in the body. An omega-3 fat is actually found, yes, fatty fish, but it's also found in shellfish. It's found in unheated cod liver oil. It's found in egg yolks. It's found in organ meat. And then your omega-6s, that's all going to be land animals, right? You're going to get those things. So there you go. You have your balance. You don't need to go out of your way if you're consuming enough protein, animal-based protein, to get your omega-3s or omega-6s or any of those essential fatty acids. So that's one part of the conversation. Second part being, we also don't need to overconsume fat in general. Overconsuming fat, when we overconsume fat in general, so any of the fats, monosaturated, saturated, unsaturated, any of them, we also cause inflammation because fat is stored energy. It helps to store energy. It stores on our body. It's very hard for the body to use it as energy. It's very stressful for the body to use it as energy. And so when we overconsume fats, we're also going to create inflammation on the other side because we're going to be overeating in calories and energy because fat is very dense in energy. And we're going to be driving up the stress in our body in order to utilize the amount of fat that we're eating. So there also has to be a balance of how much fat we're consuming. So this whole concept around you need to add healthy fats, more healthy fats to your diet. You need to add more essential fatty acids. We're not eating enough fat. And there's a big push for fat content in our diets, especially as women, because they are important for hormones and communication and fat soluble vitamins and all of these things that I mentioned. They're super important. But if you're eating enough animal protein, if you're eating the egg yolks, if you're eating the meat, if you're eating the butter, you're eating the dairy, those things, you're getting plenty of fat into your diet, and B, you're getting plenty of the essential fats too. Like, we don't need to go out of our way and add more stress around nutrition. It's actually not complicated. And we were given the foods. The foods were created perfectly in order to feed our bodies perfectly. Like, the overcomplication, it just drives me insane. Yeah. So in trying to do things right with fat and trying to add more omega-3s and trying to eat more fat, trying to do these things that make us healthier, we've kind of screwed ourselves. And in reality, we just need to eat more animal protein. It's that simple. It really is. Anything you want to add as I'm talking?
I know. I guess you just interrupted my morning coffee, and you did just fine, and I don't need to say a darn thing.
You can add anything you want.
No. I think that you summed it up pretty well, and I think we've just made things so complicated because things got so far out of whack. And a lot of that came out of the industrialization of food in the 70s and early 80s that, yes, we've changed how we manufacture food. We've changed how we handle our animals, which is why also, if you're looking at adding more animal protein, you want to consider the source and how they're grown and how they're treated. Yeah. And what goes into them goes into you. So if they're being fed industrialized seed when that's not really what they should be eating, it changes their meat, which then also causes
changes their fat content.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. It drives up their polyunsaturated fat content, which then we're creating, which is what causes the inflammation when we eat very conventional meat and dairy. Like, this is part of the issue.
Yeah.
And now we've demonized meat because of the way that the meat is raised and what they're being fed as inflammatory, because it is, when really we're just not eating high quality product.
Right. No. And that's, I mean, and yeah,
It does not.
that's a big piece of it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the seed oils and things. People found that they were a byproduct of something else that they were making. And it's like, oh, look, you know, if we do this with a grapeseed, we get an oil, and now we're going to put that into everything because it's super cheap, because it's a byproduct of something else that was already being, it's like literally the waste from something they were creating. And then they went, oh, hey, we can sell this to the consumers with our awesome marketing departments and make them think that this is what they need to be doing, instead of lards, instead of, you know, fresh meats, instead of all of those kinds of things. So that's all I would add.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. 'Cause I can say eat more meat and dairy all day long, but that does matter. Oh, olive oil, great question. Okay, so I want to be careful. So I say all of this, right? It's not that anything is bad or like not okay, or if you enjoy a flaxseed in your smoothie, or you enjoy a chia seed pudding, like, right, it's okay to enjoy those things. I'm not demonizing it. What I'm saying is that our culture has put it so far up on the health food list that we're now over consuming, and it's become a problem now on the other side, right? So again, like, don't overthink this so much. And all I'm saying is that if you're taking a fish oil, or you're eating the flaxseed, or you're doing all these things and you don't like it, and you're like, I'm only doing this because I thought it was anti-inflammatory, then you don't have to do it. And please stop doing it, right? But if you enjoy it every once in a while, that's okay too. And to answer the question about olive oil, this is a great question. So again, on this scale, and I wish I had a graphic or something. So we have this scale of stable fat to unstable fat. So we have saturated fat, which is the most stable inside our body. It doesn't oxidize and cause stress unless we overconsume, but whatever. And then we have monosaturated fat in the middle, which is stable until it is heated up. So that's important. So I'll come back to that. And then we have polyunsaturated fat, which is the most unstable. Olive oil, avocado oil, like the fruit oils, right?
Yeah.
They're fruit.
Yeah.
Olive fruit. Those oils, coconut oil, which coconut oil has some added benefits as well that makes it more on the stable side. But those oils fall in the middle as a monounsaturated fat. And now with those, they're great still to cook with. They're great to eat. They're still great to consume, but you have to consider the smoke point, because they will, like, especially with olive oil, they will become rancid. They will become more inflammatory or more unstable in large amounts. Again, a little, like, here and there is not a big deal. But if you're always cooking with olive oil every single day, you're heating it every single day, that is breaking it down to the point where, you know, it can be inflammatory in the body.
It just makes it more unstable as a
unstable, yeah, as a fat. And it's important to keep in mind too, like, when you're talking about nuts and seeds, and you're talking about meats, and you're talking about eggs, and like every single food with fat in it has unstable and stable fats. It's just it's a ratio, and it's a balance. So like if you take a piece of meat, like a piece of red meat, it's going to have less of the polyunsaturated fats than like a piece of chicken, which is going to have more of the polyunsaturated fats, but both have the stable saturated fat to balance it out. And it's such small amounts too. So again, it just becomes, that's why I say if you're consuming just a wide variety of animal protein, you're pretty much getting everything that you need. You don't have to be so meticulous and worry about it. And yes, so yeah, with olive oil, avocado oil is a little bit more stable under heat. So it has a higher smoke point, right? That's the right way.
That's the word, yep.
Same with coconut oil. Coconut oil has a higher smoke point. So it's not the same as olive oil. But when you're cooking, the best thing to cook with is animal lard, butter, all of those things, because they're majority saturated fat they're stable. You can heat them up and they don't break down. But yeah, or cooking with like a bone broth. It's really great. Like you can saute vegetables with bone broth, which then you're getting the added benefit of the bone broth, which has certain amino acids that we don't get from the muscle tissue when we're actually just eating the meat. So that's great. I
If
like
you want
doing stir
something
fries and bone
a
broth.
little browned, then just toss in a tablespoon of butter at the end and like let the butter brown it. But you can cook the majority of the time with the bone broth.
Yeah.
Then you don't worry about anything. Yeah. Then you get a little extra Benny on it.
So if you're eating animal protein and depending on your cooking methods, like you're good. Throw away the extra omega-3 shit in your house. Sorry, crap, whatever, in your house. Like, just, it doesn't matter unless you like absolutely love a chia pudding. Sure. And there's some other things. I will say chia is kind of like again, there's some other things to consider digestively with chia. It's a good fiber, but some people don't do well with that kind of fiber and things of that nature, but that's a whole other conversation. But like the flax and the flaxseed oil and all these things, the fish oil, all that stuff. And I'll tell you, if you are somebody that is having a lot of inflammation, the best thing you can do is make sure you are eating the most bioavailable, and I mean like the food that your body, like the food that your body easily digests and absorbs to get the most nutrients, and the most easy to digest foods, because a lot of the inflammation is going to come from your gut. It's going to come from your immune system, which is mainly housed in your gut. So we need to be thinking about blood sugar support, so we're not adding stress, and we need to be thinking about highly bioavailable, highly digestible foods that are easy for your gut to absorb and break down in order to lower that inflammatory response. And the best foods for that are, again, high quality animal protein and starchy vegetables, some fruit, right? And there are more high fibrous foods, and that depends on your digestive system, but those are the best foods. More carbs, more protein, less fat.
I just say, just remember, humans are omnivores. We eat all things. It's not good to eat too much of one and the other. Don't go all plant, don't go all meat. We need a balance of those things. That's how our systems were made, is to have all of the pieces from all of the different things, and everything works together. So,
and one other thought to all of this, and then that's pretty much all I wanted to say today, was, and if you've worked with us on occasion, we do recommend cod liver oil. And you might be going, well, Kate, you just said not to do fish oil. Why are you recommending cod liver oil? And there's a lot of benefits to cod liver oil, but cod liver oil is more of a monounsaturated fat. It is not a polyunsaturated fat like fish oil. So cod liver oil is different. And also cod liver oil, when it's a good high quality cod liver oil, it is not heated or processed. Like you need, with that particular, and again, there's crappy supplements out there, but if you have a good cod liver oil supplement, it's unheated, it's not broken down, it's not processed the same way as standard fish oil is, and it's a monounsaturated fat. It's not a polyunsaturated fat. There are some DHAs in cod liver oil, so you are getting a little bit of omega-3, but it's not the same. It's more like eating the actual fish or the actual protein. So you're getting more stable fat in there than if you were just to extract the fish oil. So that's my one little caveat.
Yeah, and a high quality is not shelf stable. That sucker is going to be in your fridge. It's not going to be sitting in your cupboard in the supplement graveyard. It's definitely it's one that you have to take care of in order to keep the quality. So
any questions? Any other questions? Yes, no. But yeah, so that's my thing. That's my jam. Hope that was a little helpful. And yeah, don't buy into all the omega-3 crap. You're good. Unless you're not eating enough protein, then go eat some protein and then you'll be good. All right.
Have a good Saturday.